And also, touching upon this permanent remote, right? Both from a fresher angle and from a experienced angle, right? So I'll tell you. So as sexy as it sounds, right? It is not that great permanent remote. Why? Because I've had SaaS companies. There was a company in Mumbai for which we hired a site reliability engineer, which is a very very independent, monotonous job. Does not require a lot of communication with the team and all of that. So they were also like, okay, fine, let him operate remote. So they hired a SRE from Bangalore working remotely for a Mumbai company. To build that initial level of trust, even during the interview, they called him there, they met him, they had a wine and dine, and then only offered him. In spite of that, the candidate in 2 months of joining, right? Nobody could kind of trust this guy and give him the actual credentials and all the access so that he could do it. So he had tried different ways of lobbying, emailing, calling, talking to the manager, talking to the CXO and all of that, but none of it worked. And then eventually the guy himself quit, saying, "Boss, मेरे से नहीं होगा. I don't want to be here because I'm not able to do anything. You don't give me anything. You ask me to do this, and I don't know what to do." And SREs are very short in supply if you look at it, because not a lot of companies that operate at that scale to have an SRE full time. So that is what happened. So the trust factor is also lost when you're completely remote, or is never built, to be honest.
It's a function of, or not a function of, let's say, again, it depends on A, what is your role within the organization. B, what does your role entails you to do on your day-to-day activities? And C, definitely what kind of a person you are as well. So again, for a lot of people, full remote hybrid works really great. For a lot of people, it doesn't. Like, for them to work, to function effectively, to get their work done, to get their job done, and complete their responsibilities, they need to be in the office. They need to be surrounded by five people from different from different functions to get their work done. So again, like it's a function of multiple different aspects, I would say.
Do you think that happens there, Sandesh? What do you what factor of trust is built because you are meeting the person in flesh and bones?
So, I mean, that's human thing, right? When you meet somebody face to face, the kind of trust is much different to you have never met them, or you're just talking to them over the phone, just over a video call and things like that. So during COVID, the kind of, because you already knew people, and it's the same people who actually transitioned to this virtual model, it worked for 2 3 years, and it's still working for that old timers. But the new freshers who are joining in and who are working completely remote, that personal touch is missing. So that's that, the softer aspect of things, which kind of creates a friction in the longer term. Plus also the freshers who are coming in, if they're getting used to remote work and things like that, there are a lot of things that they don't learn. There are a lot of things that you learn when you come to office, the whole water cooler kind of a chat or sutta break and all that. Yes, you learn bad things, but there are a lot of good things that you get to know people, you get to know the whole dynamic of the company. Those chit chat don't happen on virtually. If somebody's come in, you don't talk to them like, hey, what's happening, did you do this, did you do this happen? That doesn't happen. So I think, hybrid, I'm a personal believer that permanent moving to office is better, but I think hybrid is a good approach, where maybe 2 days 3 days a week come to office, and rest of the day, because of whatever traffic reasons and things like that, stay at home. It's not about work being done. It's more of that softer aspect of the personal touch, which is, I feel, more important, and it's kind of slowly diminishing because of the permanent work from home kind of a concept.
That's fair.
Yeah. I kind of allude to that fact. Okay, so I believe that like high permanent remote is like a electric car with range anxiety, and then you have your 100% work from office is like your regular internal
Petrol
combustion
car.
engine. The hybrid cars have the longest mileage for
Yeah,
best bang
agree.
for the buck.
Yeah.
You get best of both worlds. Probably the cost is a little little higher than what you would like to be in an electric car, but it kind of, because At the end of the day, you are able to build relationships. At the same time, you have the convenience of not having to commute 2.5 hours a day,
Correct.
both ways, right? So that is what I believe. And also, from a finer aspect, right, when you know the person, right, he is just not a number on your sheet.
Exactly
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
So if you are a permanent remote employee, your number on a sheet, that person is never bothered to see you. So it's whenever I want to, think about cost, you're the first person I would want to strike out. And especially for freshers who, freshers nowadays, they want permanent remote roles. I'm like, what do you think is permanent remote roles? I want to stay out of home and work. I don't want to come and spend money here. I'll stay at my home and work. So eventually, those freshers will never get opportunities or will get culled off. When they get culled off, they will never be able to, get into a company because nobody would consider that experience as real working experience.
Exactly.
So those are things that I see. And how do you guys approach? You guys work 5 days out of office, or is it hybrid?
No, we work 5 days out of office. But look, I think I mean I also think that it's the overall maturity of the ecosystem that I think a lot of these things that we are discussing are in the context of what is the current maturity of the overall ecosystem.
Hmm.
Uh, if if we were to look at this sort of scenario where it's complete remote working, I think it would require the whole ecosystem to sort of warm up to that idea and get to a stage where that's not frowned upon, right? Or you're not losing out on certain opportunities just because you've been a complete remote employee. So yeah, definitely we're not there yet. I think there are a lot of practical challenges in sort of getting to that level of maturity, and all these points that we're discussing are very very true and need to be solved for, because before we sort of get to that stage.